those younger parts who feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, or, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
somebody once told me that I'm not good at this thing, or I wasn't very capable, or I had a really bad, maybe you had a parent who wasn't able to show up for you. It's like, well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to do this because I didn't have someone show me how to do that. The insecurity gets really loud.
Mm.
And suddenly those parts that maybe we could just kind of say, hey, we're fine, are like, no, we're not fine.
What you expect when it comes to postpartum?
So, when we're looking at the postpartum period, I think the most important thing for moms to begin to prepare for is
Mm-hmm.
ultimately this place of expectations feeling like they're not being met. This
Mm-hmm.
place that we walk into motherhood with a lot of expectations, a lot of hopes, a lot of ideas of
Right.
what we're going to be like as moms.
Mm-hmm.
And when we hit postpartum period, if we haven't adjusted our expectations to be okay with some of the chaos, some of the things that are different, some of those changes, then what
Mm-hmm.
ultimately happens, we jump into this postpartum period and we feel loss, we feel grief, we feel like we're not doing a great job because we expected it would be easy, it'd be fine, I've got this, I know how to do all these things. And that causes so much worry and depression and anxiety, all these things that happen in post that can happen. I shouldn't say do happen, but they are pretty common to happen in postpartum. Often are a result of I didn't give myself permission to learn, to fail,
Girl.
to
Yeah.
figure it out.
So, how can a mom give their self the permission to fail, to learn?
I love that question. I think a lot of what offers moms permission to learn and fail
Mm-hmm.
is the willingness to recognize. Actually, this is something I take from Brene Brown. I don't know if you're a Brene Brown person, but I
No,
really
but
enjoy her work.
mm-hmm.
So she talks about vulnerability. She's
Mm-hmm.
a researcher on shame and vulnerability. And what she talks about is called, I hope it's okay if I cuss, it's
Please.
called okay, fabulous. She calls it the fucking first time.
Yes.
And she has a
How
whole
does okay? So how
episode,
does that? What is it called? The fucking first time. How
fucking
does it?
first time, an FFT. So, an
Oh, okay.
FFT is essentially this concept of when you're doing something for the first time, of
Mm-hmm.
course, it's gonna be kind of messy. It's your fucking
Right.
first time. You're gonna be learning, you're gonna be flowing, you're gonna be figuring this out. Nothing's gonna go exactly to plan. And when
Right.
she talks about it, she actually talks about it on her first episode, when she started her first ever podcast, the first episode. She
Mm-hmm.
talks all about FFTs. And in all the work I've done with moms, I come back to this all of the time. That motherhood, whether it's your first, second, fifth child, is an FFT. Because, especially with the first, it's a fucking first time because you've never done this before. And like, we have this belief system that because there is we talk about intuition, motherhood intuition, having
Mm-hmm.
some level of like, my body can figure these things out, which
Mm-hmm.
there is truth to. We believe that means I'll be perfect, which are two
Mm.
very different things. When we can differentiate between the two, that's really valuable. So when we can go, yes, you're gonna have some of these feelings that just feel like, oh, I feel like I just need to rest right now, or
Mm.
gosh, I feel like my kiddo just needs something different than what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Those like intuitive sort of feelings. There's also the FFT part of it that's like, but I also have never done this before. I'm figuring this out on the fly. I'm trying to figure out how to nurture this little baby human while also recognizing my whole body has shifted. I'm going through a completely new identity shift and not I'm not who I was before. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
mom for the first time ever. And that can't if we expect ourselves to be perfect when we do something for the first time ever, we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Mm.
So that's what I talk about with so many moms, and what I think is so important is to break free from this belief that we know everything and move into the belief of we're going to figure it out. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to fail, we're going to succeed, we're going to go through flow,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not always going to look pretty. It's
Right.
not always going to be fun, right? And like
And
those are the things.
there comes the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, and all that part of motherhood that I do not wish no mom experience. But then if you don't experience this part of motherhood, how do you grow as a mother?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
just how do you grow? I just feel that postpartum is one of the slap. Either is going to congratulate you at a lower level, or it's just going to just slap you at a higher level. And the higher level of slap that you get is where moms starts to feel the worst,
Mm,
meaning the hair start falling out, right? You're stressed out. Your hair starts to thin. Not only that, you feel depressed, you feel lost. When you look at yourself, like you said, your body is never going to be the same.
mm.
It's never. And don't fuck around and breastfeed and let gravity hit the girls. It's like a set down that will have you thinking like, what did I do? But when they're full, when they have milk, you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing that ever happened. Your stomach bulge out a little bit. You start to feel tired, especially when you don't have a safe community of supportive people to help you.
Absolutely.
I
The
think that's,
community.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest part of experiencing postpartum and also being by yourself. That's one of the hardest things. So it's like, how can we just let our hair down and serve our body with the unexpected? How can we? Because I remember when we did the pre interview, you talked about mothers' expectations. And you said something so empowering. You said, I feel that every mom should have an expectation for failure. You also said that expect to meet your inner child. Expect to meet that child who wants to heal. Can you please elaborate on that?
Yes. Okay. So this is such a big piece of motherhood, and I think it feeds into this layer of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when we become mothers, we get a glimpse back into our own childhood, whether we want to or not. This is
Mm-hmm.
one of those things that is not, we don't get a choice whether we
Mm-hmm.
want to or not because it's how our biology is working. We're
Okay.
in the process of bringing human into this world, this little human, and there's no way to avoid thinking about how we were raised
Mm-hmm.
and then also starting to feel some of our own kind of unhealed parts of our
Mm-hmm.
childhood. Because that kind of, I often talk about as we all have different parts of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We especially walk around with these younger child parts. Sometimes it's one that's like the loudest, sometimes it's a few different ages, depending on
Mm-hmm.
what a person's childhood experience was.
Mm-hmm.
But even, right, even if you don't have like a big T trauma in your life, there is still a layer of expectation of going, each time my kids meet different stages and go through different things, I'm going to be reminded of what that was like for me.
Okay,
And
so break
for,
this down for me though.
yeah.
When you say T trauma, somebody needs to know the understanding, right? Or the definition of T trauma. So when you say T trauma, what is that?
So when I say big T trauma, I'm talking about things like being abused, things like
Okay.
going through some big car accident that was life changing,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with maybe a separation of parents in the family. Things
Mm-hmm.
that really affect you and make you like they affect such a huge aspect of your life. They
Life.
almost kind of change. They become sort of turning points, is how I often think
Mm-hmm.
about those bigger T traumas.
Okay.
We have smaller T traumas, which are things that are like, oh, that hit, right? Like that was something I'm not going to forget. That was something that impacted me. It shifted things, but maybe it wasn't as massive
Right.
in the grand scheme of life, but they
Mm-hmm.
still have impact. They still cause us to have to reestablish how we're relating to ourselves, how we're relating to the world. I
Mm-hmm.
think about birth in and of itself, whether you have a stereotypical traumatic birth or
Mm.
not, birth is still trauma. It is a trauma to your body
Listen.
no matter what, right? Because it is, your entire body is going through something that is unexplainable to another human who's never been through it. Everything is shifting and moving and changing, and it is big. Now, it
Mm.
can be beautiful and lovely and all these things, but that doesn't change the reality of how aggressive it can be to your insides, to your heart also, and just like to your soul.
Entire body. I mean, mental, physical, emotional, and I mean, it can probably result into a financial problem because once you give birth and your body is no longer the same, now you're thinking that, okay, maybe do I need to do some nip and tuck over here? Is my body ever going to come back?
We do see a lot of that, right? A lot of that postpartum body. You look in the mirror and go, who the fuck is this that I
Right?
am looking at? And there is such a like, can I get it back to what it was? And like, I could go down a whole rampage of how so much of that is societal's expectation and pressure and things like that. But like,
Please
even
do.
just put it
Yeah.
is so much. We have so much in the media of like after you have a baby, obviously you're gonna look exactly like you did. But like
Yeah.
the reality is once the baby comes out, you still look like you're 6 months pregnant usually.
I know.
And
And
that's
I'm
not
like,
something people prepare for. Talk about something to prepare for, that body expectation of going, it's normal that you still look pregnant after you have a baby. Okay, like let yourself trust that your body just did something huge. It
mm,
just created a human. It just pushed a human out. And
yeah.
all the organs are not where they're supposed to be right now. They've been stretched and moved and adjusted. So, like,
Mm,
it would be more abnormal if
yeah.
you suddenly went back down to some smaller
Yes.
size.
It's like that expectations of society. So I said this on an episode before, and I said society expectation is, I'm going to use a scenario, right, with healthy food and street food or food that's not healthy. So when we're eating healthy food, it's more of us eating what we want to make our body healthy, to stay fit, to look good, to enhance our overall protein or nutritional intake. When we're eating junk food, it's more like you fitting into society expectations
Mm-hmm.
and looking forward to a long time failure of poor dieting because feeding into your expectations, feeding into what you want, is simply you getting that notebook, writing down everything that you know you need to do to be successful. I don't care if it's financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You know where you are lacking, you know what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do not know what you need to do, it's obvious, right? I'm a single parent coaching. You're a therapist. I'm also a counselor professionally. There are going to be links in this description of this podcast that you can reach out to me or her. So choose one if you're needing help. Yeah. So it's like write what you need. Be intentional about your actions. When you decide to take them, when are you going to take them? Give yourself some grace too when it comes to your own expectations of who you are and what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Have a lot of grace. Because if you're not giving yourself grace, it's you simply saying, I don't care for me. I don't see me as a priority. Because I guarantee you, when you have a friend who is on a diet and they didn't work out the day that they were supposed to show up, and you did, and they see you and start talking about, girl, I was so tired this morning and I didn't go work out. You was like, oh, girl, it's okay. You can start tomorrow. We can start back tomorrow. So you said that with so much ease towards somebody else. Don't you think that you deserve the same compassion, the same grace?
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I feel like that's such a reality that I find myself saying often, be it to clients, be it friends, be it sometimes to myself, is like, what would I say to a friend who was
Mm-hmm.
going through this same situation? Would I make them feel bad? Or would
Mm-hmm.
I give them a hug and say, hey, you showed up today?
Yeah.
Or I got you, or it's okay, we're gonna get through this, or whatever the
Yeah.
situation is.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting dissonance how so many times, and I find this especially with moms, that
Mm-hmm.
it is so hard to give ourselves the grace, to give ourselves the break, to honor ourselves, to say, I'm doing the best I can in the circumstances that I have. We can't do that for ourselves, but we are so willing to do it for everyone
Yes.
around us.
Yes.
We hold the weight of so many people, and that feels like it's enough. And
Yeah.
sometimes it gets us somewhere, right? Like to be able to do for others gets us somewhere. It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily a bad thing. I never want to say don't do for others. I think that sets a different precedent. But what ends up happening if all we're doing is for others, then we only can get to here. We don't get to vibrate high up here and get to like speak to our own inner wisdom, build upon ourselves, be the strong, sturdy humans in the world that we deserve to be
Yeah.
as well. And that requires putting back into ourselves what we put out.
That's empowering. So we're gonna go back to connecting with motherhood and
Mm-hmm.
our inner child, right?
Yeah.
How does that have an effect on ourselves as
Yeah.
parents?
So, one of the things that I like to think about
Mm-hmm.
is because we're walking through the world already, before we even become parents, we're kind of walking through the world with some younger parts of ourselves that have dealt
Mm-hmm.
with stuff.
Right.
We often get to a point where they kind of get quiet and we figure
Mhm.
out strategies to just kind of live life.
Right.
Then we become moms, and those strategies stop working because those parts get really loud. They start to judge us in a way that we've never felt judged before, especially when we think about that place of healing, nurturing, growing, developing another human.
Mm-hmm.
Those younger parts who feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody once told me that I'm not good at this thing, or I wasn't very capable, or I had a really bad, maybe you had a parent who wasn't able to show up for you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't know how to do this because I didn't have someone show me how to do that. The insecurity gets really loud.
Mm.
And suddenly, those parts that maybe we could just kind of say, hey, we're fine, are like, oh no, we're not fine
Right.
because we can't do this. We don't know how to do this. How do we do this?
We were never
And the
taught.
yeah, so like one of the things that I find for many clients is actually incredibly triggering is when babies cry. So if we think about it, right, a baby cries, it's how they're communicating.
Mm-hmm.
If noise, stimulation, any sorts of kind of intense emotions were not allowed or not comfortable for you as a kid or in your life, when you
Mm-hmm.
hear that baby cry, it doesn't just feel like, oh, let me just pick you up and let me nurture you. It feels like, oh my gosh, danger, danger, something's happening, everything's wrong, danger, danger, danger. And we have a really hard time soothing that baby because we're in fight mode or flight. And we're going, we're not safe. And that's this place where our childhood shows up in our motherhood is that these protector parts, as we
Mm-hmm.
often describe it in IFS therapy, these protector parts show up. They're trying to keep us safe. And for whatever reason, oftentimes they feel like either the baby is not safe or everything around is not safe or just layers aren't safe. And we begin to constantly be in this fight of going, I think sometimes I've had clients who are like, well, I don't want my mom anywhere near this baby.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes for very valid reasons.
Mm,
Sometimes it can be both, right? But when we look at something like that, I often say, well, what are we worried about?
mm,
And it leads us down this whole place of going, oh, well, my mom wasn't very good with my emotions, or she treated me really poorly, or I'm so afraid of so many things and I don't want my mom to do that to my kid. And we're constantly thinking about how all of these people have impacted us, or has life has impacted us along the line, and going, how do I make sure it doesn't hit this
back.
little human, right? We're putting this shield up to people, to experiences, which increases our worry. It
Mm,
heightens the anxiety, and it makes it hard to be in our right now because we're living from our past. We're stuck in this childhood part of ourselves. We're stuck in our past experiences, forgetting about the adult that we now are, that
mm-hmm.
we actually are okay and we know how to handle some stuff,
Yeah.
that we're capable of. And like that's often, I know for me, the work that I do with clients is helping them reestablish their confidence. And for some clients, it's reestablished. Some clients, it's finding it for the first time, learning that these things that we never allowed ourselves to do, right? I think about emotions
Mm-hmm.
as one of the biggest things. People who have lived a life where they've not let themselves feel because feeling wasn't safe, it wasn't allowed, it wasn't made, there wasn't space for it. That suddenly they're in their postpartum, they're in their motherhood journey, and it is full of emotions. If you've never let yourself feel and suddenly you are flooded, that can be so uncomfortable. It's just bodily, and babies feel big feelings all the time. So a lot of the work is helping these women to learn that emotions are okay and to heal from those times where it wasn't okay, and to relearn that you're safe now. You're right. Maybe in that situation you weren't safe, and maybe it was really important back when you were a kid to not have big feelings, but maybe that's not true anymore. And can we kind of break through some of those things?
Girl, that was powerful. I came across this, I was reading something, I don't even know when this was or what.
Hmm.
And it said that when an adult is triggered, depending on when the event occurred, that individual goes back. Your mindset, your body, your energy is instantly dropped back into that space. So it's like you're an adult, but when you're triggered, you are back into the space of when
Yes.
you were triggered, and then you become very resentful. You become very, very defensive. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine being an adult, right? Who did not learn to express his or herself out loud, and you had a parent, now that you're a parent, but when you were a kid, your voice were like silenced, suppressed. You could not speak out to your parents with a certain pitch of tone. You couldn't do that. And now that you're an adult, you took that trauma and you suppressed it your whole life. All because you grew and you now transition into adulthood, and you are now living as an adult with a child. Here come the reawakening of your wound.
Oh, yeah.
Have a child, and that child speak to you with the same tone that you dare not speak to your parents in. Then here you go telling that child, I am going to send you back to where you came from. How dare you talk to me like that? What made you think you can talk to me in that tone? Who do you think you are? But have you ever once just sat there and just asked yourself, is it this kid talking to me? Or am I truly reliving out my wounds that I was never able to process, to heal, to attend
Yes.
to?
Absolutely. And I love that example that you just used, is that when our kiddos have big feelings and they
Mm-hmm.
say things to us, right? Even things like, kids will say like, I hate you, go away, I don't ever want to talk to you again, right? If we have been in a situation where we didn't get to feel when we raised our voice, or maybe we had parents who said pretty crappy shit like that to us,
Right.
our defenses go up so high.
Yes.
And we immediately go to, you will not speak to me this way. And we actually miss the moment where a kid is voicing, I have a big feeling and I don't know what to do with it.
And I need your
And
help
right, and I need your help.
to
And
help me
when we
process.
miss that, exactly,
Yeah.
and when we miss that, we
Yeah.
miss the opportunity to be connected with
Hmm.
that kid. And instead, we're connected with our possibly 8-year-old, whatever year old self who
Yes.
had somebody yell at us one day. We're told we're not allowed to have feelings. We're shut in a
Hmm.
room or given a
Hmm.
timeout or whatever it was. And we're not reacting from our confident adult self who knows kids have big feelings. They're allowed to feel something and that they don't always have solid words for how to do that.
That was good. That was good. That was good. I want to say this. So I haven't seen this, but I'm sure it happens everywhere. Having a Caucasian family and having a black family. Raising my kids, I've never seen my kid go, I hate you. Like how I have seen a Caucasian kid will tell his or her mom, I hate you, I wish you was on alive and like all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I'm like, I can just imagine how that will hurt a parent because that's something you never got to tell your parent. And then here you go, loving your kid, and your kid is telling you, I hate you. Because hate is a very strong word to
It's
say.
intense.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. You
Like,
know,
man, it's like a punch in the gut.
and that's that place where when we can remember that age is part of this. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking sort of, school aged kid right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we can remember that our kids are trying to find their place in the world,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to figure out what their connections are, what everything means, that we can pause and go and not take it personal. Is
Mm.
easy to. I always like to say, right, if you can sit down and think to yourself, I've shown up, I'm doing what I can, right? If you're truly treating your kid with
Yeah.
kindness and respect in their life, and this is coming at you, right? It's likely, more likely than not, has nothing to do with you, but it has to do with a situation. It has to do with a feeling that that kiddo doesn't know how to express. Anger, frustration. I really enjoy Dr. Becky Kennedy's work. She talks a lot about how children communicate and things like that. And one of the things she talks about, and I find to be true in the work that I do as well, and with my own kids, is that when kiddos are screaming at you and they're saying, I hate you, things like that, more often than not, they're hating the situation. They're
Mm-hmm.
hating that they feel so upset and there's nothing they can do about
Do
it. They
about it.
hate that they're out of control. They hate it's not you as a
Yeah.
human, as the parent, as the
Right.
one who loves them that they hate. It's
Mm.
what this feels like in their body that they hate. And I've seen time and time again when we can slow down and go, okay, gosh, you're feeling something really big right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for you. Kids can breathe. They can recognize. And that's really hard as a parent, that right? Like
Mm-hmm.
coming back to this place of motherhood, parenthood. What's hard is the willingness to go, this is not a failure of mine. I am not a bad human. This
Right.
person whom I love deeply does not hate me, but they are having a really hard time right now, and they get to have a hard time. We get to regroup from this. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
the end of something. This isn't
Right.
everything has lost and I failed and oh my God, I'm a terrible parent, right? That's where we spiral into making it about us, and that's not helpful for our kid or for
No.
us,
At all. At all.
right?
Man, you had said something about connecting mothers to motherhood. How do you do that?
So, when I think about this idea of connection to motherhood and kind of it's almost like the essence of mother, what it means to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about connecting to it, I think it's about walking into this experience of motherhood and making a choice to own parts of it. Making a choice to go, this is the way I would define the word mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? How much of that do I feel good about, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we define something, we're like, yeah, but I don't want that, I don't want that, but I do want that, but I do want that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like some of this owning it, being it, feeling it confidently is deciding what we're going to bring into our motherhood so that we walk through the world as the mother we want to be, not the mother we think we're supposed to be, not the mother that we were handed to be, but to truly sit in our knowing of ourselves. So, like, even, think for yourself, like, when you define mother, like, what comes up for you? How would you define the word?
When I define the word mother, it's more of nester, like nesting, protection, right? But that was then. That would have been my definition of motherhood at my early age of 20, late 30s. Now that I'm in my 40s, defining motherhood is more of structure.
Mm.
How can I present my kids with adversity and see how they can navigate it to create a structured foundation for themselves?
I imagine as you've gone through motherhood, as that's adjusted and shifted, right?
Yeah.
When we lean in and go, oh, this is really what feels more right for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
that's when being a mom feels wonderful. Right? When we can love it, even when it's hard,
When it's
right?
hard.
When we go like, I can't be a mom anymore. That's when we don't want to own some of the stuff
Yes.
that's hard, right? And like, dude, there are days I don't want to own the hard. But when I come back to what, like, this whole role, and I think some of what you say is so true for me too, is like, we're providing nurture, we're providing love, we're also providing structure,
Yeah.
helping these little humans figure out how to relate to the world confidently, calmly, and with poise.
Yeah.
Right? Like that can be something we do, that we get to go, okay, if that's what I'm doing, I can own this.
Yeah.
And owning that means that I'm not gonna figure it out perfectly all the time, because even
Yeah.
within it is like, okay, well, they're figuring it out. Well, I'm figuring it out. I'm working my way through this.
So I had this conversation with one of my clients recently, and we were talking about motherhood, right? And she said that I just wish, and she was crying so emotional. She said, I just wish someone would have warned me about how difficult it was going to be just to play the role. Because I'm truly not a man. I cannot be a man. I'm only a woman and I'm raising a boy. And there are days he gets so hostile, and there are days he want to, talk back to me. He want to tell me, "Oh, you can't, be a dad to me. You can't, And he said, and she said, I wish someone would have just warned me about this part of motherhood, this part of parenting. So I told her, I said, if they would have warned you, would you have chosen to still bring him into this world? And she just caught herself and stopped crying and looked at me. If we are aware of the unknown, we would never take that risk.
What a lovely perspective.
Because the unknown is what you have to navigate through to get over the hump.
I love that. And I think from that space, right, that when we look at this, the unknown is actually kind of important.
Yeah, it
Is
is.
that the prep work is actually the willingness to know that I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
right? To
Yeah.
know I know as much as I can. I have enough knowledge to know there's going to be some great stuff, there's going to be some tough stuff, but I don't really know what that's fully going to be, and I'm okay with it. That's where we flourish. That's where we get to shine, where we get to lean in, where even that's where we can like if we're walking around the world with anxiety, I always say that to any of my anxious clients, it's like the first thing we need to do is be okay not being okay. We have to be okay not knowing exactly what everything is going to be and what's going to happen all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Because when we can release ourselves from having to know everything, we can just be in the world. We can enjoy our present. And I feel like that's so beautiful a way to even look at this journey into motherhood of like, we want to give women some sense of knowing, but we don't want to take away their journey of becoming because
Yeah.
becoming is such a big part of it is a transformation. And if we don't let people take that transformation the way that their body, their soul, their
Hmm.
spirit, their family are needing and wanting and is what is right for them, we're also taking
Yeah.
away their version of
Yes.
motherhood because
Of motherhood.
everyone's version
It's
is
different.
different.
It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's truly different. For me, I see my version like dare not. Well, I lived society version of motherhood for a long time,
Mm,
and that was draining.
mm,
My version of motherhood is to have poise, is to be resilient, which I did as a mother, and I'm still doing it as a mother and an individual. My version is to self care even more. My version is to pay attention to my nervous system because I feel like having a regulated nervous system is one of the most richest, it's one of the most abundant things that I could ever give myself. My version of motherhood now is to be grounded and listen more and speak less. Because there are times where my children need a parent who is mentally stable versus a parent who is emotionally dysregulated. I cannot deal with that. So, with that comes communication. And with my communication comes clarity. So, when you're coming to me as my child with the rah, I'm right here.
mm. Yeah.
Because you're doing all that, my whole body is going to shut down, not at a zero level, but shutting down to give you that safe space that you can speak and be heard and be understood and be
I,
felt and be seen.
mhm.
Because if you're here and I get up here with you, where are we going with this? First, how can I even help myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I need to help myself to be able to help you. So motherhood for me now is it's more on the grounding level. It's more peaceful. It's more calming. But then it's more of self-love, right? I love who I am. I'm understanding my body. I'm learning who I am every day as a woman. But then I'm like, you are one sexy ass woman. So I'm like, I'm loving it, you know? I'm loving every part of me. I get to look at myself naked. I get to point out things that I love. I get to appreciate me as a woman. And I get to be like, okay, without my kids, I wouldn't have had bigger boobs today. Like, I wouldn't even have had any. Okay, let's start there. Without my kids, I wouldn't have been, you know. So it's like, you know what? After all, motherhood wasn't so bad. Does it have ups and downs? Yes. Will I do it again? Hell no.
Good for now.
I'm good. I would never attempt. Will I have kids again? No.
But I love what you just said too about that place where motherhood is resilience, motherhood is regulation.
Yeah.
And even in that place where you're kind of saying that kind of shut down per se, I would even use the word slow down, is
Yeah.
like when we're really tuning in to our kids and showing up for them, it is only truly possible
Mm-hmm.
if we have done the same for ourselves. And I
Yes.
see it time and time again. I can't say it enough. I don't know how to say it enough, but like, in order for our kids to get the best of us, it can't come from them getting 1,000% of us.
Mm-hmm.
It has to come from us giving ourselves, us loving ourselves. That's how we even teach and model them to be the strong, confident, independent humans we
Mm-hmm.
want them. At least that's what I want for my kids
Yeah.
someday. Maybe not today. They're 4 and 6. I get it
Yeah.
that we're not fully all the way
Right.
there
Well,
yet, right?
one day they're gonna
Right?
get there.
One
Right.
day we'll
Yeah.
get there. But like, part of that is for me to show them my confidence in myself. Even what you
Mm-hmm.
say, right? To be able to look in the mirror confidently at myself and not pick myself apart, but to go, no, like, there are things I love about my body. And so
Yeah.
that they can continue that and learn that. But that doesn't just come by pretending. We
No.
can't just look in the mirror and pretend we feel good. We can't
Yeah.
walk around the world and pretend we're calm, because what that ends up being is shoving and shoving and shoving for us to eventually just lose our shit. What we
Yeah.
truly have to do, right, is to truly learn and understand what we need in order to manage all of our big emotions that are coming. They're important, they're valuable, they're a part of us,
Mm-hmm.
but be able to learn what to do with them so that when our kids are in their big emotions, we're able to support them there. We can show up for them without building up something that doesn't feel good, right? When they're feeling joy and energized, right? We want to get there with them. We want to be like, hell
Yeah.
yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it, let's do
Yeah.
it. But like when they're angry and pissed and whatever it is, like it doesn't suit us to get angry with
Yes.
them, right? Like we
We're ready to
might
be like, you
need,
know what? I don't even know why you're mad. I want to have no parts of it. Yeah. Like.
feel like there's sometimes this feeling of go away, but like
Yeah.
really what we benefit from, especially at the younger ages, it shifts for sure when kids are older, but like is to go, I can meet your energy here, but only for the sake of going, let's come down together.
Mm. Mm.
Right? Like if we need to go, oh wow, we got big energy, like do we need to like kick this pillow? Do we need to like shake
Right.
it out? Do we need to jump up and down, right? Can we take the big uncomfortable feeling and turn it into a big comfortable feeling? Sometimes that's what we're
Right.
doing. But like it's about helping them regulate to be able to go, okay, I feel this big thing in my body and I need
Mm-hmm.
to release it. So
Yeah.
let me as a parent help you release it, because that's going to help the parent too, right? Like it's hard when our kids come to
Yeah.
us with a big feeling.
Mhm.
Like sometimes we legit got to release it too. But like,
Exactly.
it can be valuable for all.
Yes. And speaking of value, when you're looking to bond with your child,
Mhm. Mhm.
please expect and be open to reparenting yourself
Yes.
as parents.
That's that's one of the biggest pieces, is recognizing that we have to reparent ourselves
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form.
Every
Some
day.
people have a much more significant reparenting experience than
Mm-hmm.
others.
Mm-hmm.
But for so many people, that bonding becomes hard when we're not willing to soothe ourselves
Yeah.
and soothe our hurts and let ourselves know that we're okay. I often say, like, especially for people who did not have very supportive and helpful parents growing up,
Yes.
that there is almost this dissonance of, we have that parent inside of us, that parent that
Mm.
is a reflection of our parent, and that's shaming and unkind and uncomfortable and doesn't feel good.
Yes.
But what we get to do is just kind of nurture and build this secondary parent that is the parent we
Mm-hmm.
deserved, the parent we
Yes.
needed, the parent our kids need.
Need.
So right? So like anytime a parent's like, well, I don't know how to do that, I didn't get that, I go, well, what do you wish you had had?
Mm.
Like, well, I wish my parent had done, this, that, or the other. Okay, well, that's probably what your kiddo needs then too.
Mm.
So, like, give yourself that first. First, offer for yourself that you're okay, you've got this, let me soothe you. Like, I literally had a client the other day, I said, you're gonna give yourself a hug.
Yeah.
Because you need it, your body needs it,
Yeah.
you are doing it so that you can give that back, right? Or, however big your kid is like, it's hard to show love if we don't feel love. And
Right.
that actually happens inside, which is the
It
misnomer of like, I
does.
need everyone to give it to me. No, actually, you need to give it to you. You
Yourself.
need to want to give yourself
Yes.
the love. Yeah.
Wow. I came across a post and I think I posted this to my IG story. As a matter of fact, my IG is called our IG is called solo hyphen shift hyphen no, I think it's underscore solo underscore shift underscore podcast. So I posted this to my story and this is what I said. I said, what a privilege it is to grow into the child that you know you needed. What a privilege it is.
Yeah.
Because as an adult, you're already an adult. But the child inside of you needs you. That inner child in you also needs to heal so that that adult now can work with his or her child. So what a privilege it is to grow into that inner child that always needed you.
Oh, I love that.
We're going to leave that on this note. Can you please introduce yourself, tell people where we can find you and connect with you? We're all ears.
Yeah. Well, I'm Ellie Messenger Adams. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor in California. I have a private practice called EMA Therapy. EMA is my initials, but EMA also means mom in Hebrew. So it was kind of my little double side layer. So I see clients virtually and in person in Southern California. And then I have an Instagram account called, or it's at EMA Therapy. You can follow me there. I've got a website, ematherapy.com, ematherapy.com. Yeah, so find me there. I have a Facebook and LinkedIn, but I don't keep those well updated. So Instagram and my
Yeah.
website are the better places to be. And I specialize in motherhood and everything around grief, anxiety, and identity in motherhood and the different stages of it. And I have such a love of supporting moms because really at the end of the day, when we support moms, we're supporting kids. And I want every kid in this world to have a safe, welcoming, happy home, or joyful. Happy is hard to come by, but some joyful home that they can come to, which means helping moms feel whole and grounded and like these confident, capable humans that I know everyone can be. So
That is so
that's me.
amazing. Thank you for your job. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Weddy Gore, and if this is your first time tuning into this episode, please understand that Solo Shift Podcast, it is just not a podcast. It's a lifeline of therapists, coaches, mental health assistant here for you in every way. It could be financial help that you need. You can be traveling, feeling down, and you can just tune in to the podcast, download it, subscribe, follow us on every social media platform, book a one-on-one call with me, with Allie, anyone that you know you resonate with, you can reach out to, you can connect with. Anything to have you growing not only as a parent, but as an individual, as a daughter, as a mom, as a wife, please do that. Again, there is no hood like a solo parenthood. Don't forget, we love you, but you need to love yourself best. Have a good day.